Man, AJ, we back for another Bridge the Gap. I can't believe you won 2 out of the 3 All-Star Saturday events last week.
Man, the skills challenge, the 3-point shootout. Shout out to Cat 29 in the final round. My goodness. But then
Yeah,
the dunk contest happened.
trash. Trash. Hey, MJ didn't seem too impressed with Cat, but we don't want to be messy. Hit that intro.
What?
I'm a dangerous rapper. Heavyweight in the kitchen. Heavyweight in the kitchen. Heavyweight in the kitchen.
Yes. It's the boys, BTG fans. What's up? It's another episode of Bridge the Gap. AJ2KKC. AJ, how are you feeling, my guy?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling great on this lovely Saturday. KC, how you feeling, my boy?
Man, it's a Saturday. It's beautiful. I mean, it's still cold over here on my side. It's about 35, but it's sunny. And we got a lot to talk about these ways. I don't know. It was a short week, or I should say a small week when it comes to sample size, when it comes to sports, but it's still a lot to get into today. We got a really good show. I'm going to kick it off to you today because we got a lot to get into. I'm sure you saw this last night. I know I did. James Harden. He suited up. Yes, James Harden suited up for the Philadelphia 76ers. Sixers fans, we are about to get into it. AJ, I'm going to kick it over to you, my brother. What were your thoughts on James Harden's 76ers debut last night, man?
Well, my thoughts is that they look good. They look real good together. You know what I'm saying? James Harden and Joel Embiid, they're going to be a solid tandem together. The way James Harden can stretch the floor, obviously it's a big difference between him and Ben Simmons with the way he can stretch the floor, facilitate for others. The pick and roll game is sick between the two. You can't double team either player. You got shooters everywhere on the floor. I mean, they look good. They look good. James Harden finished the game 27, 8, and 12. So the man definitely balled out. He balled out in the debut. But my thoughts outside of that, where we've seen this before, because I believe he had a triple-double the first game he played with the Brooklyn Nets. And he also balled out in his debut for the Rockets as well. So my other thought was we've kind of seen this before. We've seen James Harden come out and be a dog right away, excited to play for his new team, go out there and ball out, and then things slowly go downhill for one reason or another. So while this debut was nice, I personally won't get ahead of myself. I don't think anybody else should. One game against the T-Wolves, who are an ascending team, but the Sixers are just a better team at this point. One game against the Timberwolves doesn't show me enough to just be like, oh, the Sixers are now going to be NBA Finals champions. They look good. We'll see if this continues, especially when the postseason comes around, because I predict it will not. Oh, also, last thing. These boys, man, they get to the free throw line like madmen. It seemed like nothing was going in the way of the Wolves last night as far as fouls were concerned. I mean, my goodness.
I bet.
These boys shot, I don't know how many 26, 27 free throws by the end of the first half or some crazy number like that. Like, they get to the free throw line like crazy. And again, I want to see if it happens in the postseason, because most of the time it doesn't. The game is ref in a different fashion.
Yeah, AJ, I get all that, but let me tell you something. James Harden in the 76ers uniform is dangerous. Like, it's dangerous. So dangerous, which I'll get to in a little bit, because I really want to talk about Harden's debut. I think the 76ers have a really good chance to go to the NBA Finals this year. And I know you probably still going to be hanging on Brooklyn. I know you like Chicago, which I was wrong about, by the way. You texted me last night that I was wrong. I saw that. I have been wrong about Chicago. I'm not going to lie. I'll take that. I'll eat that L. However, I have a really good feeling about the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden in his debut looked spectacular. It almost looked as if, like I said last week, this is the best team that James Harden has been on, because James Harden looked spectacular. And Embiid still gave them boys 34 against the Carl Anthony Towns that you were talking about. These boys against the Minnesota Timberwolves, which have been improved this year. No lie, you were in front of that as well. But I think that James Harden and Joel Embiid is the best 1-2 punch we've seen since Shaq and Kobe. And I'm standing on that. 1-2 in terms of guard big. Let me rephrase that. Guard big, 1-2 punch. Since we've seen since Shaq and Kobe.
So wait. Not to interrupt. One
No,
game is telling you all this.
It doesn't matter. I thought it before. The one game told me exactly what I wanted to see.
Wow.
Okay. Doesn't matter. James Harden gave you 27. It wasn't fat suit James Harden. I don't know where he went, but he came out the suit. He pulled it like Superman out the suit. So pulled out the fat suit and said, I'm about to ball. And gave them boys 27 and 12. I said last week when we talked about this, James Harden is a facilitator as well. That's the one thing. I know he doesn't have the defense that Ben Simmons had, but he can facilitate like Ben Simmons, but he can get a bucket like Ben Simmons could not. So to see someone like James Harden, and also I know you saw they was pushing the pace. James Harden was getting in like he usually does into the paint, kicking it out to those shooters in Thibault, kicking it out to those shooters in Danny Green, which I still have my feelings about Danny Green, but we're not gonna talk about Danny Green today.
Don't we all?
Everybody has a Danny Green story, but at the end of the day, I think this is James Harden's best team because I think where Joel Embiid is at right now, the ability to just dominate on both sides of the ball, that's something that James Harden has not had. I know KD is great, but KD was not like Joel Embiid, not as dominant as Joel Embiid. So the presence of Embiid alone makes the game just so much more wide open for James Harden. And I think that this is the best team he's been on. And like I said, right now, if I had to make my choice, I think we get a 76ers Bucks Eastern Conference Finals, and I think James Harden and Joel Embiid take it and go to the finals. If I had to pick today.
What has Joel Embiid shown you that makes him more dominant than Kevin Durant?
What do you mean? What does he show? He
what makes him more dominant than KD? I don't get that one. I don't understand that one. I need you to quickly explain.
What makes more? Okay, so who's the most dominant player of all time?
The most dominant player of all time?
Don't try to cap just because don't try to cap because I know
we get into that. We get into that a little later in the show. So, but continue your point. Continue.
All I'm saying
I don't want to get too much up too soon.
On both sides of the ball, Joel Embiid is the best player that James Harden has played. Joel Embiid is what, 7'2", 260, 270, and no one can stop this man. He's a walking 30 and 10. Remember, in the playoffs last year, it wasn't Joel Embiid's. Ben Simmons broke down. We all saw it. I don't know what happened. Ben Simmons broke down. James Harden, yes, he has his struggles in the playoffs, but James Harden can get a bucket. So when Joel Embiid is being double teamed, when they're throwing extra bodies at him, you have somebody like James Harden that can go get you a bucket. They did not have that last year. James Harden, at this stage in his career, his ability to score the basketball changes the game. And like I said, if I had to choose today, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to the NBA Finals.
I'm just confused as to how one game could tell you all of this against the Wolves, who, like I said, the Wolves are a good young ascending team. I think if they manage to get that 6th seed in the postseason, they might be able to make a little noise. But at the end of the day, they're not quite where the Sixers are. The Sixers are a solid team. They're high in the Eastern Conference for a reason. But all of that being said, as great as they are as a fit right now in the regular season, we've seen James Harden do this before. We've seen him go to a team and play with the Brooklyn Nets. Remember how excited we were about how great the Brooklyn Nets looked?
It's a different situation.
We were all, oh my gosh, this is championship. This is this is that.
Who
For some reason,
that?
it just didn't work out. A lot. Everyone but Laker fans said that. That's who said that. Everybody was picking Brooklyn to come out and win a chip last year. You could blame it on injuries. You could blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. At the end of the day, it did not work out. James Harden was unavailable when you needed him most. We can go back to the Rocket days where he came out playing for the Rockets. The man was playing sensational for the Rockets. He put up his best career numbers for the Rockets. When it mattered most, Harden did not come and deliver the way they needed him to in order for them to get out of any series against Golden State. And so that's why I look at this and I say, yes, they're going to be a good team. Yes, they'll be second round. They might get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but when they run up against the heavy hitters in the East, when they see the Bucks, when they potentially see the Nets, when they see the Bulls, who again I still think you're kind of sleep on, they're gonna struggle because they're gonna need more than Embiid to go out there and be as dominant as you say. And I do agree, Embiid is dominant. I just don't know if he's Kevin Durant dominant. But again, we'll save that for a later topic. At the end of the day, what was that?
No, go ahead. Finish up. Go ahead.
Even though, yeah, I don't agree with that comparison. But at the end of the day, I just don't believe that this team can match up with a lot of the heavy hitters in the East. I really don't. James Harden is going to have to step up to the plate. It can't just be Embiid. And I don't think he will. I think he's shown time and time again he'll do it in spurts. But when you need him most, he will freeze.
Okay,
this is history. This is a reoccurring thing with James Harden.
Yeah, I bet. But let's talk about this for a second. So the heavy hitters in the East. Who was the heavy hitters in the East? Would you say right now?
The heavy hitters in the East, I'd have to go with the Bulls.
Okay.
The Bucks.
Okay.
I put the Sixers in there.
Okay.
Bulls, Bucks, Sixers. Nets.
Miami, they number 1 seed right now.
Miami too. I forgot about Miami. Miami as well.
Okay. So Bulls, they've been playing great, but what have they done in the playoffs? Anybody on that team?
I mean, DeRozan, his only problem, he couldn't get past LeBron. Otherwise, he's been a baller. Otherwise, he's been a baller.
DeRozan's only problem is he couldn't get past LeBron, but we're going to excuse the fact that James Harden had to go through Golden State every year?
I mean, he couldn't not only beat Golden State, he couldn't beat the Thunder either because he didn't show up in that series early in his career either.
No, bro. This is disrespect. This is disrespectful. So
he couldn't beat Golden State with Kevin Durant. He couldn't beat Golden State without Kevin Durant. Mid-season, Kevin Durant, or mid-series, Kevin Durant goes down. He still couldn't beat Golden State. Like this is at that point, this isn't even a 73-win Golden State.
Who was on his team? Who was his running mate?
You said what?
Who was his running mate?
He had Chris Paul for most of the series, and that team at one point didn't have Kevin Durant. You had enough to win that series. You had one more game in Houston. You had enough to win that series.
Chris Paul, we've seen him choke in plenty playoff series, though. Am I wrong?
James Harden was the man on that team. And
Chris
Paul, before he got hurt in that series, was balling.
We say that every year about Chris Paul.
He put James Harden in the perfect position to close that series out, bro.
Just like this year.
And they went out there and shot
every year.
They went out there and shot 1,000,001 threes, and Harden went out there and went like 2 of 13 from the 3-point line.
Okay, so he had a bad half.
And couldn't get to the line. So you know how that goes.
James Harden had a bad half in the Eastern Conference Finals. Guess what? So is DeRozan. Okay, so is DeRozan. LaVine, he hasn't even been there yet. So, like, I get you think Chicago's the heavy hitter. Okay, you got the Bucks, who are the defending champs. I got that. And then it's like, okay, you got Miami. I mean, we knew Miami was going to be okay with Kyle Lowry, but we still got to see this team.
I mean, Kyle Lowry is a champion.
Kyle Lowry
Miami
Heat and Miami because he was playing with Kawhi.
And the Miami Heat were just in the finals a couple years ago. So that's a playoff proven team.
I'm not arguing that. I agree with that. The Miami are playoff proven, but we got Miami. I'm just counting through all these heavy hitters.
Okay.
And then you said the Sixers. And then after that, you got Cleveland, Boston, Toronto.
Did I mention Brooklyn,
Charlotte, and Atlanta.
I still view Brooklyn as a heavy hitter as well.
Okay, that's fine. I get it, right? Whenever KD comes back, we'll have to see what they play like. But if we're looking at right now, okay, like I said, you got Miami. If I'm Miami and Milwaukee, if I'm Philly, that's all I'm thinking about. I get you think that Brooklyn might be a heavy hitter, but we still have to see what they look like with Kyrie, Ben Simmons, and KD. We got to see what KD looks like.
So you're not thinking about the number 1 seed in the East at all. You're not thinking about the Bulls at all.
The Bulls are tied for the number 1 seed, but no, because I think Philadelphia will finish the year at the number 1 seed.
Okay.
They're 2.5 games back. Why wouldn't they?
Okay.
I think Philly finishes the year as the number 1 seed.
Okay.
Period. But I mean, like I said, I know we'll be revisiting that. I know you quickly want to touch on MVP today, which I feel is the reason why I know we're going to pick. So we'll slide into that. I guess, AJ, your NBA MVP today is who?
Again, I don't mean to beat the dead drum, KC, but like I sent you in that text yesterday, my MVP so far this season, my boy, I got to go with this man, DeMar DeRozan. I have to go with DeMar DeRozan. What he's doing with the Chicago Bulls, I don't think any of us predicted. The man over the last 8 games, 45, 9, and 7, 38, 5, and 4, 36, 5, and 4, 35, 6, and 6, 38, 6, and 5, 43 and 7, 38, 6, and 6, 37, 6, and 3. My goodness. By the way, all of these games, he's shooting well over 50%. I mean, it's insane what DeMar is doing right now. None of us, I knew DeMar DeRozan was a solid player, an all-star caliber player. We all know, we talked about earlier about him not being able to get past the Cleveland Cavaliers and getting past LeBron a lot of these years. But what he's doing right now in the East is crazy. Got the Bulls, like you said, tied for the number 1 spot in the Eastern Conference. I expected the Bulls to be a good team. I didn't expect them to be this. I didn't quite expect them to be this great, to be honest with you. And it's mainly because of DeMar DeRozan. Clutch shot after clutch shot. I mean, it's just what he's doing right now is sick. And he's been doing it all year long. So I got to go with DeMar. I know a lot of people are going to go with Embiid, and I can't knock that. But nobody expected the Bulls to be the 1 seed. Maybe nobody outside of Bulls fans expected them to be the 1 seed out East at any point in the season, really. So I got to go with DeMar.
That's not it's hard to argue that. I get it. DeMar's been great this year. I was wrong. I mean, I definitely didn't see this coming from DeMar. I mean, we saw him hoop when he was in Toronto, but then he got to the playoffs every year. Couldn't get past LeBron and the Cavs, or LeBron and the Heat. So like I guess I get that. To see what he's been doing in Chicago this year has been crazy, especially with LaVine being in and out the lineup. It doesn't matter. Like, he's been hooping. But I'm gonna pick somebody that no one is talking about, and I'm gonna go with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I get it. It's not the sexy pick. He's won the last couple years, back to back. I just think Giannis is giving you 29, 11, and 6 on 54% shooting. That's incredible. Like, LeBron is arguably one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Career average 27, 7, and 7. Giannis is giving you 29, 11, and 6. For someone who really can't shoot the 3 that well, he's only shooting 30% from 3, to do 29, it's unstoppable. It's dominance. His last 4 years, no, we'll even go 5. He's giving you 27 a game, 27 a game, 29, 28, 29. For someone who can't shoot, that's incredible. So I feel like Giannis doesn't get the congratulations, the praise, because we've seen him do this. It's kind of like that voters fatigue. But if we're being honest, Giannis doing what he's doing offensively and defensively is still at the top of the game. Joel Embiid, I know I just mentioned it when we were talking about Harden. He is great. He is a dominant player. I think he'll look even better now that Harden is there. But if we're talking about today, the most valuable player, it's got to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think LaVine is better than Middleton. I know we had that discussion on here before. So you look at DeRozan's number 2. Obviously, Harden is better than Middleton. So you look at Embiid's number 2. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he goes down, the Bucks are no longer a contender. If Harden goes down, if Embiid goes down, I think Harden can keep the Sixers a contender. And then I think if DeRozan went down, I mean, LaVine, we saw it briefly. They were still able to hang on. So for that, I think Giannis should be the MVP today.
Giannis is playing out of his mind. I will give him that. And one thing Kendrick Perkins came out and said, and I kind of want to echo, he said that if Giannis comes out and he wins the championship this year and finals MVP, he'd have to be like number 2 right behind Tim Duncan.
Ooh.
What I would say is it's hard to knock that. We got a question on the show that I want us to answer, Casey.
Yes, thank you for pulling that up. I saw that too.
Yeah, I want us to answer that. Casey, you want to answer that first? You want me to go?
Yeah, I'll answer it. I don't think it's a small market team because the Bucks are a small market team. I think it more so has to do with the fact that Jokic just doesn't play sexy basketball. Like, let's just call it what it is.
That hurts. Yeah,
it does. It's Denver. And Jokic is a beast, but it's not sexy. It doesn't gather the attention of, I think, the main NBA media. So I mean, no disrespect to Jokic, I think he should be a top 5 candidate because I think what he's doing in Denver is amazing. But if we're talking about most valuable, I mean, I think that team is coached well and talented in Denver. I just don't think he's more valuable to Denver than I think Giannis or Embiid or even DeRozan is to their team. So that's why I would, like I said, I think Jokic is top 5, but nah, MVP, nah, can't do it.
I echo the sentiments, but I also you got to win you got to win a little bit more too. Right now they're sitting in the 6th seed, and so when you look at the MVPs out of there, people gonna think Steph, they sitting at number 2. They gonna look at Chris Paul and Book, they sitting at 1. They gonna talk about Ja, who nobody expected to be at 3 with the Grizz. Like nobody expected the Grizz to be. I'm saying nobody expected the Grizz to be this great this season. So they sitting at 3. So obviously you're gonna think about Ja, and so I think that's a big part of the reason too. On top of the reasons that you said, in order to win MVP in the league, I feel like you have to be at least one of the top 3 seeds in your conference. There are exceptions, like Russ went out there the first year, he averaged a trip dub. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there are exceptions. Steph was having an insane year last year, so they kind of was throwing his name in the conversation because he was keeping the words afloat. But for the most part, they're gonna give the nod to whoever's in that top 3 seed of either conference. Most of the time, they're gonna give it to the 1 or the 2 seed. So that's why I picked DeRozan. And
you're not wrong. Like I said,
yeah,
no disrespect to Jokic. I mean, he's hooping out there in Denver, but MVP, nah, I can't give it to you. Sorry, brother. And I don't like what he did against what was it, the Morris twin. I don't like all that. That's drama. Nah,
that's a conversation for another day. That's a conversation for another day. KC, we got to move to the most fun topic of the day.
Okay,
we got to move to the most fun topic of the
Let's
day
get it.
because obviously during All-Star weekend they did the ceremony for the All NBA 75 team, and it got everybody thinking. It got everybody thinking again. All right, we got these 75 players here. You know, what order should they all go in? Who should go in your top 25? Who should be in your top 10? You know, we saw a lot of lists come out with top 10s, top 20s. Some of them were blasphemy, if I may say so myself. Some was like, okay, I can really, I can deal with that. So that got me and KC thinking, what's our top 10? Like for real, what's our top 10 of the 75 players? So we put together a top 10 list. And Casey, I want you to start. I want you to start because I know you saw mine. I want to see yours. So,
okay.
Casey, for the fans, I want you to show everybody what your top 10 list is looking like. All-time NBA.
All-time NBA. So this was a little harder than I thought, but after some careful consideration, there was only one possible top 10, and it looks like this. So my top 10, we'll start from the bottom up because everybody wants to worry about the top. We'll start from the bottom up. At number 10, I got Tim Duncan. Great player. But just to kind of go with the Jokic thing I just said, it doesn't play sexy basketball, but he's Mr. Fundamental for a reason. He does have 5 chips. He did dominate 3 eras. I have to have Tim Duncan in my top 10. Number 9, I'm going with that $100 man, Wilt Chamberlain, 100-point game. I mean, just the most dominant. I didn't get to see Wilt Chamberlain play, but from the footage I've seen, from the stats, he's one of the greatest players to ever play. The reason why he's not higher on my list is because I did not get to see Wilt Chamberlain play. Old heads, I get it. Wilt might have been the most dominant player we've ever seen. I did not get to see Wilt play, but out of respect, Wilt should be there at number 9 because he did have a pretty amazing track record on and off the court. Number 8, we got Bill Russell. Come on. They don't call that Finals MVP trophy after Bill Russell for nothing. We know how many rings he's won. We know how dominant he was. However, the reason why he's not higher on my list, once again, I did not get to see Bill Russell play. And we know the amount of teams that were in the league when Bill Russell was playing. No disrespect to Bill Russell. That's why he's there at number 8. He is one of the 10 greatest players to ever touch a basketball. So I have him at number 8. Number 7, and I know, AJ, you're not going to like this. I have Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, number 7. Look, arguably one of the greatest players to ever play the game. No disrespect to Kobe. It was good to see the All-Star Game MVP trophy named after him. Well deserving. Kobe's one of the greatest players literally to ever grace this earth. But I just think that there are six players better than Kobe. And that brings me to number 6. Kobe's former teammate, Shaquille O'Neal, who I think is the most dominant basketball player to ever play the game. Listen, we saw what Shaq did. 4 rings, obviously winning 3, going to 4 in LA, and then going to another and winning another in Miami with D Wade. Look, it's the big Diesel, Shaq Diesel, number 6. Now we get into the top 5. Number 5, I'm going with Larry Legend, Larry Bird, automatic sniper, Trey Gang on 3, White Mamba before White Mamba, Larry Bird. Great to see. Number 4, I'm going with the Magic Man, Magic Johnson. Listen, in the finals as a rook, like literally from the moment Magic stepped into the league until pretty much he was done and retired in the 90s, Magic was great. Arguably one of the nicest NBA players, just philanthropist, what he's done for the community, what he's done for the NBA community. Excellent. Magic, you are a top 4 player or a top 4 player. Then I go to number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the current all-time leading NBA scorer of all time, sky hook, unstoppable. I got to put Kareem at 3 because that brings me to my top 2, which I'm sure we will probably discuss in a second. Number 2, I'm going with Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Have to. And because of that, that means LeBron James is number 1 all time on my NBA list. Listen, we can argue about the 6 rings. We get it. But once we get past that, it becomes a real debate. I get it. MJ for 6 seasons dominated, but MJ played 15. And if you really take a deep dive into them 15, no matter how you want to slice it, we can start peeling back some of those layers. We can really start discussing what happens. I think what LeBron James has been able to do for nearly 20 seasons is incredible. I think that his ability to still play at this level at the age of 37, I remember in 2012, I think it was 2012. And one of my guys asked me, like, how many finals do you think LeBron can go to? I said, realistically, I think he can go to 10 straight. I think LeBron can go to 10 straight. Or no, 2010. I think he can go to 10 straight. And he went to 9. He went to 8. Like, to be able to essentially lock down an entire conference. Granted, people say Jordan locked down the league. To lock down the entire conference, we just sat there and talked about DeRozan. DeRozan has said it himself. We couldn't get past LeBron. Like, to literally put fear in other teams. I know people say Jordan has been able to do that, but to see it done literally for 8 straight seasons, no breaks, no baseball, none of that. For 8 straight seasons, LeBron had the Eastern Conference on lock, and you knew it. It didn't matter who was on his team. It didn't matter if it was the first Miami Heat team he had. It didn't matter if it was the second Miami Heat team he had. It didn't matter if he was in Cleveland with Kyrie, without Kevin Love. It didn't matter. It didn't matter when Kyrie was gone and they had a different team and then traded the whole team at the trade deadline. It didn't matter for 8 straight
his most impressive
seasons.
year. 18.
And
His most impressive year to me.
For 8 straight seasons, LeBron locked the conference down, and now he's on his way to averaging probably the first ever 40,000 point, 10,000 assists, 10,000 rebounds. When it's all said and done, I think it will be consensus LeBron is number 1, but right now on my list, LeBron James is the best player to ever grace the earth.
Obviously, it's hard to debate with that. Now, my top 10 list, I'm sure is going to stir some debate. Some debate, KC, but it's all I know to do, stir debate. So I want to dive into mine. I got a lot of bones to pick with yours, but I'm going to dive into mine first, and then we can tackle yours in a second. This is my top 10 list right here. Number 1 and number 2 is almost like 1A, 1B. But I'm giving 1A for right now still to Michael Jordan. At the end of the day, what Michael Jordan was able to do in his career, it makes it so hard to poke holes in it. The more you debate with it, the harder it gets to poke holes in what he was able to do throughout his career. From the 6 rings to the fact that they never went to a game 7. Everything, the scoring titles, the defensive titles he was winning, the all defensive teams he was on, everything he was doing on both sides of the ball was just insane. Give him Scotty, give him Phil. That's really all he needed to win championships, and he was able to do it and really dominate his era in a way that we still to this day have never really seen. 1B though, LeBron James. And I know, Casey, I know I've been saying since he joined the Lakers, he's the GOAT, Bron the GOAT, Bron. I've been on that bandwagon. I saw something last year I didn't like, and I'll get to that a little later, as far as him not taking the shots that was needed to propel the Lakers late in the ball games. We've seen it a couple times throughout his career. This team he put together this year, it hurts, man. It hurts a little bit. It hurts a little bit. And when you get to the point of just splitting those hairs, and you talk about the Mavs series where he just didn't show up for an entire series, when you talk about the early years where he played the Spurs and they got swept that year, it makes it tough. This is what I will say, though. When he passes Kareem for all-time points, it is something I'll have to reconsider for sure. And I will probably have him as 1A at that point because of everything else the man has accomplished in his career, which you so eloquently highlighted, my boy. But I want to move on to my dog, Bean Bryant, because I'm just so tired of the disrespect. Like the man didn't drop 81 in a game. Like the man didn't have 60 in his last game of his career. Like the man didn't win 5 championships, 3 with Shaq, 2 without Shaq, and with Pau Gasol, without a member of the 75 team on his roster. The man went out there and took down 3 of the players that's on the all-time 75 list in the Boston Celtics, from KG, the Paul Pierce, the Ray Allen. I mean, what the man did throughout his career was insane. The way he was able to put the ball in the hole, I just don't understand. I know these people going to bring up the missed shots. People going to bring up some of the percentages. To the eye test, when it comes to the talent and what he was able to do from a talent perspective, Kobe's arguably, debatably the GOAT. Then you add in the accomplishments, and it just helps the man out. So I don't understand why the man is so far down people's list. I don't get why he's at 7 or some. I've seen somewhere he's at 10. I've seen somewhere he's not even in the top 10. I would tell most of you people to go back and watch the game of basketball. And I would tell a lot of you people to go back and ask some of the players that he's played with and played against how cold this man was on the basketball floor. Because they'll tell you, if he ain't in your top 5, they ain't in your top 3. I don't know what we talking about. And that's how I'm going to leave that for now. Kareem at number 4. Like KC said, the skyhook was insane. All-time scoring leader. The man was a menace. The man was a monster. He did his thing out there. Kareem did his thing out there. Number 5, I got Magic Johnson. The boy was a monster out there, facilitating the basketball, winning championships. Like you said, as a rookie, went out there and won championships. They had to throw that man at center, still found a way to win the game, dominate the game, win championships. What he's able to do off the court as well with all these with the Los Angeles Lakers, with the LA Dodgers. I know that has nothing to do with the talent perspective, but I'm just talking about him as an overall player and person. Magic just influence on the game as well as what he does outside of the game. On top of what he did on the court, you just got to have him in your top 5. You just have to. At number 6, that boy Shaquille O'Neal. Arguably the most dominant force we've seen in the league. The way he was able to dominate the post, literally bully people, game in, game out, made it look easy. Shaq could go for 40, 15, and 3 on you in a heartbeat. He did it numerous times throughout his career. He won 3 championships with LA, left LA, went to Miami, won a championship with D Wade. I mean, what he was able to do throughout his career was nothing short of spectacular as well. That boy was dominant. Then you look at, like you said, Larry Legend. When you go back and you watch Larry Legend again, I know a lot of us, my age group, didn't see him play, but when you go back and you watch him, the man just has so much talent. He has so much skill. It was nothing the man really couldn't do. He could obviously shoot the ball. He could facilitate the rock. He will get you crucial steals down the stretch of ball games. He was obviously clutch, could hit any shots you needed him to hit on the basketball floor. The man was just sick. He played on great teams, but he himself was sick, and he had to go up against Magic a couple times in the finals, which makes it tough for him. But at the end of the day, that boy Bird was something serious. Tim Duncan, I got him at number 7, and I know a lot of people have him over Kobe. I seen a couple people have him over Shaq. And as much as I respect Tim Duncan's career, the man went out there and did some impressive stuff, no doubt. But I got him this far down my list because the man played for arguably the greatest coach of all time, arguably in the greatest system of all time, arguably for one of the greatest franchises of all time. His entire career, nothing really changed. He came in, he played playing with David Robinson. David Robinson left, and it was him, Manu, and Tony Parker. Mix in Bruce Bowen, mix in whoever else you want to mix in. That same tandem. And then you add in the greatest coach, arguably, in my opinion, the greatest coach of all time, and Greg Popovich. Nothing ever changed. He proved he could win the same way every time he won. That's kind of, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's kind of my knock on Duncan. I never seen him do anything different. I never seen him do anything different. And so I got Duncan that far down my list. I just feel like everything was just perfect for him throughout his career. And I think he played really well, really great in the system. But I will give him credit and put him in my top 10. Bill Russell, that boy went out there and won 11 championships. There's really nothing else to be said. I didn't watch Bill Russell growing up. Obviously, I was too young. And same way about Wilt. I've seen old Wilt footage, though. The boy was a freak. Wilt was a freak out there on the floor. I mean, the way he was able to move up and down the floor, he was huge. He was I think, if I'm not mistaken, he had a foot on pretty much everybody in his era. I mean, the man was tall, strong. The man, I mean, he was a freak, and he had incredible speed. It's freakish.
Like 7 feet tall.
It's freakish. He had incredible speed to be as big as he was. So I got Wilt at my number 10. But I want to pull up KC's list again because I have a bone to pick.
Let's talk about it.
I have a bone to pick. I just don't understand how Bird and Shaq could be above Bean. I don't get it. When I look at Shaquille O'Neal's career, I see a guy who was dominant for a period of time, but went out there and won 4 championships. I saw a guy who couldn't win a championship when he was playing with Penny, won 3 with a guy that I think is better than him, even though Shaq was Batman on that team. I don't want to take that away from him. But win 3 with Kobe, who was far from just a little Robin on that team, and then went and was Robin to Dwayne Wade to win the 4th. Kobe won 3 championships with this man. And while he wasn't the best player on the team, at one point he was damn close. He was damn close towards the end. And then Shaq leaves. You bring in Pau Gasol, and he takes you to 3 more NBA finals back to back, winning 2, beating a Celtics team that nobody could see at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm confused as to how the man could win, showed he could win without Shaq 2 more and continue his legacy, or not his legacy. His prime lasted much longer than Shaq's as well. I just don't understand how Shaq can be over him. And Larry Legend, I don't want to take much away from Larry Legend, but I just don't think Larry Legend was as talented as Kobe. Whoa. And he got 3 rings.
Hold on.
And he got 3 of them boys.
Hold on.
I don't see it.
You said Kobe's prime lasted longer than Shaq's?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I don't think so. I think they had probably about the same amount of time. When Shaq was in LA, he had already been in. Shaq was already a top 50. He was a top 50 player. What are we talking about? He was in the league for like 2 years.
That's fair. But his prime still didn't. Kobe was balling for probably at least 14, 15 years in the league. No, Shaq gave you about a decade. Shaq gave you about a decade.
Shaq was balling from the night. Oh my God, are you kidding me? At least Shaq gave you at least 12 to 13 years of like great basketball. Kobe gave you about 12 years.
He was Shaq. Okay, so a decade from 1992, just quickly. A decade from 1992
was
02. We're looking at 02.
And Shaq won a ring in 06.
Shaq won. So by 03, he was averaging 21 points a game, bro. Does that sound like Shaq? He was averaging 21 points a game, 11 boards, 3 assists. Shaq was still solid, but that's not prime Shaq, because prime Shaq is 27, 11 and 3, 27, 28, 29. I think it looked like his career high for a season was 29.
Shaq won a ring in 06.
Shaq. You said what?
Shaq won a ring in 06.
He was not in his prime. That's the one he won with Wade. He wasn't in his prime in 06. We know this.
I'm not saying Okay, so if 02 was a decade from 92,
Right.
if 02 was a decade, he won in what 03, they lost in 04. Shaq was in his prime at least through his Laker years. At least through all of his Laker years.
I'm
That
just
gives
saying
him at
there's
least 12 years.
I'm just saying there's a
Kobe
drop
probably
off.
started his prime, let's say in 2000, right? Kobe was coming off the bench when he first got into the league. Let's talk about it. Remember when
Fair.
he had the air
That's
balls
fair.
in Utah?
That's fair.
That wasn't Kobe's prime. Don't try to add years of
I
Kobe's
didn't. I
prime.
haven't. I'm not adding
No,
years.
so
I'm
let's
not adding
talk
years.
about it. And then he went to back, as you said. And by 2012, he was getting swept up out the playoffs. That wasn't Kobe prime. Kobe didn't
Kobe
have
was
longer
Kobe.
than Shaq's prime.
Kobe was Kobe for 12 years.
And Shaq was Shaq for 12 years. From 92
That is
at
not.
least.
That is not.
Look,
No, bro.
so Shaq was not in his prime in 2004?
Shaq was Shaq. I'm just telling you what the numbers say. The numbers
Shaq
say
was
there
out
was
of
a drop
shape
off.
in 2004.
That's on him.
That's fair. That's fair. I gave you
all
2
I'm
extra
telling
years.
you
So what happened in 2011 and 2012 with Kobe? What happened? Was he in his prime then?
2011 and 2011 he was averaging 28 a game, 5 and 4. 2012 he was averaging 27.
And what was he doing in the playoffs? What was he doing in the playoffs?
What does that have to do with his prime?
That's not Kobe because you just but no. So he was giving you the points. Kobe was always a scorer, but you just sat there and said Kobe gave you back to back to back.
Right.
And
Wait. I was saying Kobe gave you back. We having two different debates. I was saying Kobe gave you back to back, meaning he had been to when he got Gasol on his team, he went to 3 straight finals, right? They started to lose after that. That's fine. Kobe was still Kobe though. He was still putting up numbers like how he was back in 2008 when he won MVP. Matter of fact, he was averaging more points and I believe more assists that year. 2012 and 11.
That's fair.
That's
okay.
it. So that's now the Lakers again. They weren't winning as much, but Kobe was still in his prime.
Kobe had what was that team he had that he failed miserably with Steve Nash, Dwight? You remember that team?
Oh yeah. Steve Nash,
You remember that team was that 2012? Yeah, we remember that. Yeah,
I mean,
Kobe. So you telling me, all right, prime Kobe?
If I'm not mistaken,
if
I'm not mistaken, he tore his Achilles.
He did,
trying to get these boys to the final or trying to get these boys to the playoffs. So
hey.
I mean, that's why I can't. Like I said, the Bird. How is
no? Okay, so yeah, so let me answer
better than Kobe.
I want to answer it because you asked me the question. That was just kind of blasphemy that you said that Kobe had a longer prime than Shaq. Because I don't agree with that. But no, the reason why I have Bird and Shaq above Kobe is because you said it. Shaq was on that team and he was Batman. So how can Shaq not be ahead of Kobe? Shaq was also dominant. And this is the same reason with Bird, which I'll get to in a second. At the top of your list, the greatest player to ever play the game is Michael Jeffrey Jordan, correct?
Correct.
So let's talk about it. Shaq was the only person or on the only team in the 90s to beat Michael Jordan in the NBA playoffs. Is that correct?
45 Jordan.
Yes or no, AJ? Yes or no, AJ? Yes or no, AJ?
45 Jordan. That's what we count. That's okay. Go ahead.
AJ. Yes. Also, Larry Bird. Let's talk about it. Not only did Larry Bird give you buckets, not only was Larry Bird battling with Magic, who was also in your top 5 every year, battling with Kareem, who was also in your top five. So not only was Bird hooping against 2 of the players in your top 5 of all time, the number 1 player on your list of all time never beat Bird in the playoffs. How can I put Kobe above that?
And he had
How
no
can
team.
I put Kobe above that? Literally, it's
Come on,
your
bro.
list. And
Come
Bird
on,
was
bro.
balling against 3 of your top 5 players of all time, giving them boys buckets. And the number 1 player on your list of all time never beat him in the playoffs. And I'm supposed to believe Kobe's better than him?
Come on, bro. I can't.
No, come on, bro. I know what that means.
Bro.
That means yes.
I can't. No, bro. I can't give you that. When they was playing Michael Jordan was extremely young and had no team.
So
team. And even then, Bird was like, Jordan's the best player in basketball. So 88
Jordan when he won so 88 Jordan when he won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year was extremely young.
Yes.
All right.
He was younger, which is why he's number 1, because he's done a lot throughout the course of his career. But at the end of
That's
the day,
fine. We'll give. So what you're saying is Shaq had a longer prime than Jordan, correct?
what was that?
Shaq had a longer prime than Jordan, then,
I
correct?
have to do the math. I haven't looked at it.
No, I
haven't
can do
looked
the
at
math for you.
Go
Jordan
ahead.
won 6 rings and
That's
didn't
not
start winning
that
until
does not mean
1991.
no, bro. Just because you won rings in a certain time don't mean that's your entire prime. That is a part of your prime, but that don't mean that's your whole prime right there. I don't see that.
This is a great question. What happened in 96 with Shaq? I'll tell you exactly what happened. They went out and got Dennis Rodman. Have you heard of him? One of the greatest to ever play the game, who was also in the top 75. That's exactly what happened in 96. Look it up. After Shaq and Penny gave them boys buckets, dogged walk Jordan. I get it. Michael Jordan did not play a full year when he lost to the Magic in 95. But what's one of Michael Jordan's greatest games of all time? The double nickel in the Garden. That was in that year. He was good enough to get out the first round, but then all of a sudden he loses in 6 to the Magic, and we got all these excuses for Jordan. I'm not trying to hear it. That's on Jordan's fault for coming back. He didn't have to come back. No one held a gun to Jordan's head to come and hoop. Take that L. If we putting it in the vacuum at the end of the day, Shaq and the Magic are the only team to beat Michael Jordan in the 90s. So for that reason, if we're talking Shaq and Kobe, and then you go to LA and Shaq, and then you win 3 and go to 4, come on now. So Jordan was young, but we giving young Kobe years part of his prime. No, we can't play it both ways. We have to keep it simple, or we have to keep it fair across the board. If you giving me 2000, 2001, 2002 Kobe as his prime, then go ahead and give 85, 86, 87, 88 Jordan as his prime when Bird was
a difference. There's a difference because Kobe was a pro already in 96. So we're not giving the man the very start of his career. We giving him when he came out and he really started playing at pretty much, well, I won't say his exact peak, but pretty close to his peak. That's what we giving him. You trying to start it from the moment Jordan touched the floor. This is his prime.
Jordan came in the league 84. I'm giving you at least 88.
You said what?
Jordan came in the league in 84. I'm giving him 4 years too. 88. Jordan came in the league in 84. 84, 85, 86, 87. I'm giving him 4 years. We'll start it at 88 when he won Defensive Player of the Year.
And that's the year he lost. That's the year
88,
he lost
89, and 90. Bird was in that ass every year.
What year did they start playing Bird? That's my question.
I think it was 87. I might have been 86. I think it was 86 or 87.
You know what? We might have to revisit that because
we saw in the Last Dance. We celebrating Jordan because he putting up 60, getting swept by this boy. Like, come on, what are we talking about? Have some respect for Bird.
No,
have some respect.
Not over Kobe, bro. Legend. Not over Kobe, bro. Not over Kobe, bro. Because at that time,
Kobe,
Bird. Because hold on,
go ahead.
At that time, Bird had a squad with him too, which is why he was getting to the finals.
Bird did have
which is why he was beating Jordan, which is why he was able to get to the finals and handle Magic. Like he had a squad with him as well, bro. Kobe ain't had no squad like how Bird had, except when he playing with Shaq. I give you the years with Shaq was debatable, but I want to put emphasis on the years without Shaq. The years without Shaq, there is something to be said for taking down a team with 3 of the top 75 players of all time in the NBA. When you don't have any but yourself.
It took 7 games and he lost.
Okay, and that's fair. He still beat them is my point.
All
I'm getting at is that's special. Without none of them, that man Bird got at least 2 more players top 75 on his team to go up against that Magic team.
And what did that Celtics team do? At
the end of the day, he still walked away with 3.
And what did he did? And what did that Celtics team do after that year when they lost to Kobe? Like the Lakers. What did that Celtics team do?
They got hurt and they started to fall off.
That was the beginning of that. That year that he won. And it took him 7 games. And if we really being honest, if it wasn't for he didn't have a top 75 player, Pau Gasol, who gave them boys 20 and 20 that night, Kobe might not have won that game. Let's be honest. He did shoot what?
But
8 of 28, 7 that game.
But at the end of the day, yeah, of course you need teammates to step up and help you win. You can't literally beat 3 of the players in the top 75 literally by yourself. You can't literally do that. You need somebody to step up. But it's Pau top 75.
Pau is not top 75. Give him that?
Okay.
But Pau gave him 20 and 20. Ron Artest hit a big three to win the game.
But all I'm saying is the man did it with less talent, bro. The man did it with less talent than Bird did. And Bird was on the same franchise with almost the same roster from start to finish of his prime.
This
He
is
went with the
hypothetical.
same squads.
This
The
is
man had
hypothetical.
all-time Hall of Fame players in top 75 on his team. At the end of the day, if you put that roster together for Kobe or for LeBron, we judging him on a different standard. But because it's Larry Legend, we got to give Larry the nod. No, I'm not trying to hear all of that.
AJ, this is
if we want to say he's better than probably one of the greatest players to ever play, if not the best player to ever play the game, I just can't. I can't see it. I can't see it when you play with all of this talent. Because again, put that talent with Kobe. You'll be criticizing Kobe if he only won 3 rings, right or wrong. With that team,
I would be.
Bron, I know how we would talk about
number
LeBron.
7 on my list.
I know how we would talk about LeBron, and I know how we would talk about Jordan if he only had 3 rings with Kevin McHale, bro, and the squad that them boys have for years. That's tough.
AJ, this is hypothetical. Take Bird off of those Celtics team. Hypothetically, do they beat Jordan every year?
Not every year, but they might get him one year.
Okay, so if you take Bird off and they don't beat him, clearly Bird is the difference maker. Jordan was going for 16 and getting swept off the court.
I said 1 year. I'm not saying
that's
if you take Bird off
that
Jordan,
that's completely unfair to Larry Bird.
Jordan had no team back then.
LeBron is number 2 on your list and has played with more All-Stars than anybody.
Okay, what's your point?
My point is you can't knock Larry Bird for that. Like, that's completely unfair.
But no. There's a clear difference. Bron has taken teams with nobody on his team to the finals. You know this. I don't even know why you even brought that up. I brought that up
because you're using that as an excuse to diminish Larry Bird.
No. I saw, if we want to talk about LeBron, you know this. 2018 is when I started to give him the most props because I saw him unload half his roster, get a bunch of random guys in there that could just shoot and spread the floor and still get to the finals and still drop 50 on Golden State in game 1 before JR smoked the game away. So that's something right there. That's like, okay, we've seen LeBron do much more with less. Bird, 75 cats on the 75 list is on his team pretty much his whole career, his entire career, bro. And he walked away with 3 championships. 3. At the end of the day, I understand the man was nice and he had talent. I understand all of that.
Bird also had a back injury towards the end of his career.
At the end of the day, he walked away with 3 rings, bro. If we talking injuries and what somebody could have did, let's just put T-Mac in the top 10 too. Because T-Mac would have been great if he ain't had so many injuries.
Sense at all.
Why don't we put Grant Hill? Don't Grant Hill in there because Grant Hill would have completely gone off the rails. Grant Hill woulda, coulda, shoulda. At the end of the day, we going off of facts and what actually happened in the career and what they did throughout the course of their career. And all I'm saying is the man had loaded teams.
AJ,
absolutely loaded teams, especially for his era, and walked away with 3 championships.
AJ, it doesn't matter. Like pull up your list. Pull up your list. I want to ask you questions. I'm not even going to insert the name. I'm just going to ask you questions. AJ, you have Bird at number 7 on your list. Yes or no? Did Larry Bird beat your number 5 person in the playoffs on your list of all time? Yes or no?
He beat him once, yes.
Yes or no? Did he beat your number 4 player on your list of all time? Yes or no? In the playoffs?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. He did. Yes or no? Did Michael Jordan ever beat Larry Bird in the playoffs?
Come on, bro. Stop. Again, we've had this conversation. Yes, but at the end of the day, look at the squad. Look at the team differences. No, it's an invalid point, bro. It's an invalid point.
Question is no. Then it makes absolutely no sense. How Larry Bird is at 7 and Kobe is not there.
Bro.
This is your top 10
from the start.
No, bro. Your top 10.
There's context though. There is context, bro.
You're right.
The context to this is, if you go back and look at the list, every year Bird was playing, Bird had a squad. They were championship ready from the jump. Jordan didn't have that luxury. LeBron didn't have that luxury. When Kobe lost Shaq, Kobe didn't have that luxury. Kareem was struggling a bit at the start to win with the Bucks. He won well with Oscar, which is why he's over Magic Johnson. But he had a squad throughout the course of his entire career. Magic Johnson, I've told you, it's about on the court and off the court when it comes to Magic. Shaq, he won 4, he won. Like, I go down this list again to explain it. This is why these players, he won in a different system. He won in Miami as well. Like, come on now, bro. I can't. Bird played with an amazing team. That's why I have Bird and Duncan in the same area, and Bill in the same kind of area, because they kind of was in the same system their entire career, and they played with great players their whole career, great coaches their whole career. They didn't have to go through nothing.
Larry Bird averaged.
I'm saying with
Larry Bird averaged a double for his career. Larry Bird.
Okay. He
gave you 24, 10, and 6 for his career.
He's talented.
And Jordan never beat him. I don't care how stacked your team was.
He's talented.
If you do that,
then you don't care that KD won 2 championships off beating Bron with Steph Curry.
That's a completely different situation.
How? No,
because LeBron beat KD.
There's no, bro. No,
LeBron beat KD
when the decks were even, bro. When Jordan was playing, Bird, no, bro.
We have to evaluate based off of the entirety of the career. What are we talking about?
I can't give you this with Bird.
No, this is complete. No, this is a completely different situation. KD lost to LeBron and the Miami Heat in 2012. That happened, yes. And then we saw KD until he got to Golden State underperform in the playoffs every year. And then he went to a stacked Golden State team. He won 2 out of 3 wings, and we've seen him do nothing but be hurt since. Larry Bird beat the number 1 player of all time on your list every year. Never lost to him. I don't care if it was the first year they played or the last year they played. He also beat the number 3 and the number 4 person, or I'm sorry, number 4 and the number 5 person on your list.
If you ask Bird, who does he say is the better player, him or Michael Jordan?
I would be ashamed with Larry Bird if he said Michael.
He said Michael Jordan's the best player ever.
I would be ashamed if he said it.
He the one came up with the nickname Black Jesus for Michael Jordan.
It doesn't matter. That's him being disrespectful.
He knew when he was beating Michael Jordan, they didn't have nobody. Jordan was out there literally by himself losing to Bird. That's Bird and McKellen, the team he had.
So when he was beating Magic and Kareem, what was that about?
Which you said what?
When he was beating Magic and Kareem, what was the excuse there?
He beat Magic and Kareem. It's a good accomplishment. He belongs in the top 10.
That's cool.
He belongs in the top 10. But I can't give you the pass over Jordan because he won.
Jordan had number 2 on my list.
When we talk about Bron, one of the biggest things that we talk about when it comes to LeBron is what he was able to do, how he was able to do more with less. We talk about that all the time. How he took that Cavs team when they lost to the Spurs. It was just him and Daniel Boobie Gibson. In 2018, he got rid of half his team, and he just had Kevin Love and whoever else out there playing with him, and he still got to the finals. We give Bron that. Put things in its proper context. That's one thing that we knock with Jordan, that he couldn't do more with less. But at the end of the day, he had nobody on that Chicago Bulls team, bro, to help him take down an all-time Boston Celtic team.
I'm not holding that against Michael Jordan. That's fine.
You adding that to
the day, though.
you're not holding that against him. You're not holding that against MJ, but you're adding that to Larry's accomplishments. Like, that was a huge accomplishment to beat Jordan with no one else. That's not that big enough of an accomplishment to beat him with no one else on the team.
It happened. I'm not holding it again. I'm not using it to poke holes in Jordan's legacy.
Has Bird ever won a championship? Has Bird ever went on a playoff run? Has Bird ever done these things without a top 75 player on his team? Yes or no?
It does not matter. No.
Yes or no?
No.
Yes or no?
Yes or no? It does not matter.
Yes, sir.
You made me answer
yes or no questions. You made me answer yes or no questions.
Has LeBron ever won a championship without another top 75? Well, I guess Kyrie.
You made me, and he has. But you made me answer yes or no questions. So I'm asking you a yes or no question.
And I said no.
Because when it comes to Kobe, we don't talk about those last 2 years where he won championships against the Celtics in Orlando. It's like we just disregard that and just think about what he did with Shaq. No, at the end of the day,
played
Did Larry Bird
7 years with Shaq.
win a championship without a top 75 player on his roster?
The answer is no.
No. That right there shows why Kobe should be considered higher, because he won 2 without a top
Okay.
75 player.
So let
on
me
his
ask
roster.
you this question. Did Michael Jordan win a championship without another top 75 player on his team? Yes or no?
That's true.
Exactly.
He never
So we
did.
can't do
He
that.
never
At
did.
the end of
But-
the day,
But
is
Bird
what
had
it is.
multiple. He had multiple top 75 players. Jordan
And Jordan didn't?
Well, no. His first 2. His first 3, he only had 1. His first 3, he only had 1.
And it was a damn
only
good
had
one.
one.
It was a damn good one.
He only had, okay, it was a good one, but Bird had more than one. Bird had more than one.
Listen, we're going to have to hold it there and just agree to disagree. I'm sure this is not going to be the last time we talk about this. And this is, I'm not trying to say that MJ or Bird is better than MJ. All I'm saying is Bird should be higher than Kobe because he beat MJ every year in the playoffs. He beat Kareem. He beat Magic, who are 3 of the top 5 players in AJ's top 5 of all time. But Bird should be 7, and that's fine. That's fine. I guess if that's how you want to view it, that's
my
cool.
take is Bird should be below Kobe because he's always had a stacked team to play with, and he only came out with 3 rings.
Because Jordan only won with stacked teams.
Every other
Jordan only won with stacked.
I'll let you get your point.
I know. Go ahead. Get it off.
I'll let you get yours off. My thing is he always won championships with stacked rosters. He always had at least 1 or 2 top 75 players, probably 2 every year. If I really think about it, top 75 players on his roster. Where Kobe won 2 championships without a single top 75 player. Bird was in a system where he dominated and he won for years, but at the end of the day, his teams was stacked. Every year they were stacked. And last thing, and if we put that criteria on anybody else, if we give Kobe 3 of the top 75 players for the whole course of his career, or we do that with Michael Jordan, or we do that with LeBron, and they only come out with 3 championships, we gonna feel differently about their legacies. And that's
fine. That's fine. But he was playing, like I said, Magic and Kareem every year. Like that's
Kobe got one.
That's what makes that.
Kobe got a championship with Kobe got 3 championships with a top 75, and he got 2 by himself.
That's fine. That's fine. If that's how you look at it. Like I said, if you want to diminish Larry Bird for not winning a championship without another top 75 player, that's fine. But have that same energy for Michael Jordan. That's all I'm saying.
He had multiple.
That's all I'm saying.
Jordan
had multiple for 3 rings. Like if he didn't get Dennis Rodman,
won the
you don't
first
know
3
if he
with
wins
just
another
one.
3 rings.
He won the first 3 with one.
And Larry, it doesn't matter. One in solid coaching and arguably in the same system that Kobe won his 5 in. Come on, let's move on to football. Let's move on to football here because we're gonna talk on this real quick. AJ, I'll let you go first because I know you're just loving this. I know you're absolutely loving this man, Aaron Rodgers. He's been a problem if you're a Packers fan. I don't know if you think it's a good problem or a bad problem, but Aaron Rodgers reportedly wants $50 million plus a season. I know how I feel about it, but AJ, I'm gonna kick it over to you first. What are your thoughts on this right here?
I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. If I'm being honest, I don't know what he's thinking. Aaron Rodgers, and I feel like honestly, KC, we might just have the same take for this. I had this conversation with my brother a couple days ago, and I was just like, last season I felt like Aaron Rodgers had a point, right? I felt like everything he was saying was factual. The Packers haven't surrounded him with what he needs. They haven't really listened to him. He's the focal point of the team. He is the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers just move around him, just do things around him without even having a conversation with him. And I've always felt like when you disrespect the best player on your team or your superstar athlete, the person that's really making you the big bucks owners, I feel like it's a bit disrespectful because you're not the person that's on the court or on the field. So I felt where Aaron Rodgers was coming from. But then they came into this season, it was an #1 seed again. And their defense was playing lights out without 2 of their stars on the defensive line or Jair Alexander at cornerback. Defense was playing out of their minds. The only hole you had really all season was special teams. You and Devontae Adams still had the same connection as always, if not better. Everything looked fluid. And then you matched up against the 49ers. and you laid an egg. No matter how we slice it, KC, because I know you've been on this side of you got to get Aaron Rodgers out of there. No matter how you slice it, the man just didn't show up. He didn't show up in a time where they needed Aaron Rodgers to show up. They lost to the 49ers at Lambeau as the number 1 seed. And if I'm not mistaken, the Niners put up 13 points. You lost in Lambeau with the Niners putting up 13 points, not 25, not 27, not 40, 32, no, 13. You couldn't score 14 in Lambeau. It makes it tough. It makes it tough. And then you come into this offseason and you got one or two options. You just say, look, I dropped the ball, and this is just what it is. We need more money so that we can, either you just take responsibility for dropping the ball, pretty much is just saying I choke, or you say it wasn't me. We need more around. So are you coming out and saying I'm getting all this money? I want $50 million a year. That just goes to show that you really don't think you was a part of the issue. Because at the end of the day, taking less money to help boost up the team would probably be more beneficial. Right? I would think so if you feel like you need more around you. But no, you realize you got everything you need. You know what I'm saying? You got everything you need. And you still went out there and laid an egg. And you want $50 million for it a year. And he's getting older, KC. That's what makes this whole conversation tough. It's not like he's 25 anymore. $50 million a season? How many more seasons you gonna play is another question. Like, I don't know, KC. I kind of feel for you as a Packer fan. Man, because the one that amount of money, knowing that y'all haven't sniffed the Super Bowl in like over a decade now. I mean, come on, man.
AJ, I'm so sick of Aaron Rodgers. I'm so sick of Aaron Rodgers. Like, I want it as a Packer fan. I want him gone today. I at this point, just get him off the books for picks. Like it's becoming a circus. It's becoming a circus, and like it's crazy because I remember years ago when Brett Favre was nearing retirement, it was the same stuff. It was literally the exact same situation. Granted, Brett Favre was flirting with retirement, and then he didn't want to retire. Off seasons were a mess. I'm at the exact same place with Aaron Rodgers that I was in with Brett Favre. I'm done with it. Like I'm sick of it. And last year, when we talked about the fact they got Jordan Love, I believe my exact sentiments at that moment were you give it one more season with Aaron Rodgers and you get him off the books. This is that time. This is the offseason that's coming to a head. And if you're a Packers fan, you got to be done with this. You got to be over this. If you want Aaron Rodgers still, I would be shocked because I get you want to be the highest paid player, but what have you done? Let's talk about it to be considered the highest paid player, right? The highest paid player, or I should say quarterback, is Patrick Mahomes. We get it. We saw how Patrick Mahomes lost this year, but Patrick Mahomes has been to the AFC Conference Champion or the AFC Championship literally every year of his career. He's been to multiple Super Bowls already, more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. So I get why Patrick Mahomes wants to be the highest paid player, but if you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, you haven't been to the Super Bowl in over a decade. And like you said, you're getting Jeopardy. It should be high. They should be hiring. I heard they really wanted them the first time. Go do it. Like, we're done with you. Yeah. Like, you haven't been to a Super Bowl in over 10 years. The last, I'll give you 5 off seasons dating back to the Mike McCarthy years have been tumultuous. Every offseason is something. First it was the coach, then it was the GM, then it was the personnel, then it was talks about him not getting along with Matt LaFleur. It was the quarterback coach who they brought. At what point do we stop bending over for Aaron Rodgers? Like, at what point does that happen? And if you're a Packers fan, you have to be sick. I don't care if Jordan Love is the guy or not at this point. I just want to move on from this era. Everybody needs to get the sour taste of the Aaron Rodgers era here towards the end out their mouth. It would be one thing if Aaron Rodgers was consistently going to Super Bowl. Hell, it would be one thing if Aaron Rodgers was just going to the Super Bowl. You don't even got to win the Super Bowl. Just get to the game. Yeah. Give the team a chance. I said it before during the season that the Packers were the best team in the league and that they should have went to the Super Bowl this year. There's no reason why. Granted, Odell went to Los Angeles, but I can't sit here and say I think that Rams team was significantly better than significantly better than the Packers this past season, especially with Robert Woods going down, especially with the fact the Packers beat the Rams last season. I can't sit up here and say that I think that the Packers didn't have a chance to beat the Rams if they met in the playoffs, especially with that game would have been in Lambeau. I can't sit here and say that. So I'm sick and tired of this Aaron Rodgers saga. If you want $50 million, cool, but you're not getting it in Green Bay. You're not getting it in Green Bay. And if Green Bay cuts that check, I might have to put in my resignation as a Packers fan because I'm tired of it. At this point, you went up in the draft.
You're not gonna do that though. You're gonna support them because they're gonna be cold again.
No, listen though. But look, you went up in the draft and you got Jordan Love. Why do you go up in the draft and you draft a quarterback in the first round if you're not going to hand the keys over to him? Either one or two things need to happen. Let Aaron Rodgers go and move on, or let Jordan Love go and move forward with Aaron Rodgers until it's over. At the end of the day, that comes with consequences. That comes with $50 million. That comes with the possibility of probably not going to the Super Bowl every year because we've seen Aaron Rodgers at the highest stage outside of the one Super Bowl he won, which honestly, if we're talking about it, he didn't play the best in that NFC Championship game against the Bears the year they won the Super Bowl. Let's be honest. The Bears played well enough to get to the Super Bowl that year. So I just look at this saga. At what point is enough? Personally, I'm done with Aaron Rodgers and this. If you want $50 million, like I said, cool, but go get it from Denver. Go let Denver cut the check because Green Bay is not cutting the check. They need to hand the keys over to Love, but going through another offseason of drama would be detrimental to the Packers. And honestly, I think that they should just move on at this point.
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot. When I saw the number 50 mil, I'm like, come on, Aaron, man. Come on. Like, you should know by now.
Because you want back-to-back MVPs?
It makes it tough, man. When I mean, this past postseason was rough. It was rough. I really gave him a pass for last year. Because I felt like, Kevin King was giving up them crazy plays, and Tom Brady, even though he had them turnovers at first or in the second half, he played well in the first half. That defense was just freezing up, and I feel like they put him in a bad spot. Good question. But at the end of the day, like, he still had an opportunity to win that game at the end. He just didn't. He didn't. And I felt like Matt LaFleur could have let him go for it on that fourth down. We disagreed on that, but he didn't, and that kind of was what it was. So I mean, I gave him the pass, but this past year against the Niners, now you can't freeze like that. You can't literally and figuratively. Like you can't do 13, bro. And the defense, the special teams put up, I believe, the last touchdown that they had. So it's really like Garoppolo and them went out there and put up 6 points? Like that just don't look good. That don't look good. And then they turn around and ask for $50 million. I would not be mad at the Packers at this point if they did move on. I thought about it long and hard, KC. I was watching First Take the other day, and I saw Stephen A. come out and say, do you realize Aaron Rodgers has not even been to the Super Bowl in over 11 years, 10 years? I said, wow. When you really put it in this context, some years you can blame it on the defense. Some years you could blame it on the coaching.
But at what point you got to get it done?
You got, I mean, special teams maybe. But at some point, bruh, the quarterback that we say is Hall of Fame, probably the greatest talent we've ever seen, he got to overcome some of that stuff. I mean, Joe Burrow just went to the bowl. He got sacked 9 times in the game, Casey. We've seen Brady overcome all kind of stuff in the postseason. You know what I mean? Peyton Manning been to I think he's been in 3 Super Bowls. He might have been was it 3 or 4?
Peyton?
Because I know he went with the Colts. He went and then he played. He went twice with the Broncos.
Four.
So I
He
think
went to
3
4.
times.
He lost to
one of them
the
numbers.
Saints and the
Seahawks. He lost his and so he got 4. He been there 4 times. Like, you start comparing them to the other greats that you start to compare them to, and like you said, even Patrick Mahomes been there a couple times now
in 4 years.
It's tough. I wouldn't be mad. About Lamar, I would give more to Lamar at this point in their careers.
I'd agree.
As
much as I talk about Lamar, I agree.
I would. Like, Lamar's still young. Lamar's still ascending. I still think he can improve as a passer, but I predict that he will. And I don't know, Lamar. You see his potential. You see what he can still accomplish in the NFL as an NFL starter, as a star in the league. Rodgers, it feels like we've seen the ceiling. Like, that's how it feels. It feels like this is all Aaron Rodgers really is going to accomplish. It feels like, and honestly, you go to Denver or anywhere else, I don't know how much that's going to help. I really don't. You're not throwing to Devontae Adams no more. You're not throwing to Devontae no more. So I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know about that. But like I said, to really again get back on the topic, I really do believe that it might be time for them to just let them skate up out of there, KC.
Yeah,
it might just be time.
I agree with you. Like I said, as a Packer fan, I'm done. I'm over the Aaron Rodgers era. Thank you for the last 13, 14 years. You gave us 1 Super Bowl. You went to 1 Super Bowl. I'm just done making excuses. Yeah. I'm done making excuses. I've seen it every year. I've blamed the defense. I blame the offensive line, the running game, the coaching, the receiving. You had the best team in the league. You had a really good defense this year. You and Devontae were clicking all year, and you go out and you play that game. You play that game at home against the Niners, who didn't even score a touchdown.
That was tough.
I'm sick. And Packer fans should be too. I'm over Aaron Rodgers. Let it be what it is. I'm done.
He got everything he wanted. Bro. Everything he asked for, they was like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, but you're not getting this 50 mil, brother. Sorry. Yeah. You're gonna have to eat that one. Man. Ajae. Anything you gotta say to people before we get out of here?
No, sir. Thank you all for tuning in today. It's been a fun one. It's definitely been a fun one. I'm still upset with KC's top 10. I don't even want to put it back on the screen, but I'm gonna put the proper one back up there for y'all, so y'all can peep that one last time. This how everybody top 10 should look when you know your basketball. You feel me?
Yeah. When you know your basketball. When you know your basketball, this is how it should look. Right there. If you know what I mean. LBJ, MJ, Kareem, Magic. You know how we do. Bird at number 5. That's how we do. All right, I'm done.
We out, y'all.
We out. Hey, Jay, one more time. As always, you gonna kick that intro as we head up out of here?
Yes, sir. We outie 5,000, y'all. Catch y'all in the next episode of BTG. Bridge the gap.
I'm a dangerous rapper. Heavyweight in the kitchen.